Hello, my name is Caitlin Rule, and I'm going to walk you through my ePortfolio. Starting off here, we are in the Artifacts folder. So throughout any time of this presentation, if there's something you would love to dive deeper in, you can scroll on over here to the Artifacts folder, and whatever you're looking for should be in one of these folders. I have District, Elementary, Portfolio Documents, and Secondary. Next, we have my goals. My personal goals, you can see, are focused on really staying active and being a part of my daughter's life. I love to be able to travel and to do different things, even though I do have a baby. I love to take her along with me. I love to strap her to me and go on trails. So really staying active is a part of my personal goals. Professionally, I would love to be able to gain experience in different grade levels. I've taught second grade all 6 years, and even this year I'm going to teach kindergarten, so I'm already kind of starting on those goals of trying out different ages and different grade levels. In the future, I love to see myself as a leadership role, such as an instructional facilitator or a coach of some sort, just helping teachers to become the best that they can be and help with their instructional practices. Next, you can see my leadership philosophy. My leadership philosophy really focuses on a collaborative culture. I really believe that a team effort can bring so much to the table. So when a team can work together to come and make decisions, I think that that is the best way to learn and to lead. Next, you'll find my plan of study. These are all of the classes I have taken for my master's program. For educational research, we were able to dive in deeper to the research of education, but also the research of ourselves with a SWOT analysis. I was able to dive in deeper to my strengths and my weaknesses, along with different areas. For school law, I learned a lot about law. I really had no idea who was all even in charge of different areas, so it was really interesting to be able to dive in deeper to that research. I learned a lot about copyright law, religion in school, zero tolerance, and more. For supervision and evaluation, I was able to learn more about the collaborative culture that I really love because my philosophy is even in collaboration, so I really enjoyed that part of this class. I also was able to learn more about the interview process, different professional developments, and how to observe teachers appropriately while also giving the feedback that they need and deserve. Introduction to School Administration was a great class to be able to start off with. I felt like it had a little piece of everything in this class to really motivate me and get me ready for the whole program. So throughout this class, I was able to learn my leadership style, my philosophy, and I got to interview the superintendent, which opened doors for me later throughout the whole program. For special education for school leaders, I learned more about inclusion with special education students and being able to create an inclusive culture, even the parents' rights, and be able to know and understand people first language. Educational finance was also something new, kind of like school law. I didn't know a lot about finance in schools, but I was able to learn about budgeting, about fraud embezzlement, about credit card abuse, different kinds of situations that really is important to look out for as a leader. Educational leadership, I was able to learn ethics and integrity and really look and reflect on my ethics and how I would be able to model and cultivate ethical behavior in my school. For school and community relations, we really focused a lot on different forms of communication with our community and different staff members, and really to be able to work with our community there's different ways to communicate with them. I was also able to create a school promo, which I thought was pretty cool to be able to see my school from a different light. Data analysis and assessment was probably one of my favorites. For some reason, data just excites me whenever it comes to working with numbers and seeing everything. We were able to dive into data reports and even Excel, learning how to do different reports and how to bring all that data together. We looked at demographic data, assessing student data, perception data, and more. For curriculum planning and evaluation, this one was really interesting to me. We were looking at different historical perspectives, global trends, sustainability in education, and it opened doors for me to work with our district curriculum coordinator on different projects. We are really focusing on bringing our school to a standards-based learning, so it really, being able to interview her with this class, I was able to open that door to be able to work with her. Cultural diversity, we were able to do research on different cultural diversity, different family involvement, and just creating a cultural responsive environment and the best behavioral practices that come with it. And currently I am taking my practicum, which is where we're at today. And throughout this class, I've really been able to stay on my own schedule and my own pace and follow the guidelines of the different expectations that need to be followed. And so this is my last one. Here we are. Next, you'll find my resume. For my resume, I used one of the templates that were given. As you look at my resume, you can find my contact information, my skills that I have for my teaching career, my experience, my education, and certificates and training that I've collected throughout my career. As we move on to my activities, you can find my activity form. I have filled out this activity form and put down most of my activities. I had more activities, but to be able to only reach one standard each, I only put the ones that were required. I have 5 district and then quite a few elementary. Elementary is where I'm teaching, so that's where I had most of my activities, and then I have secondary below. To be able to calculate those activities, I used this activity tracker. And I loved this tracker. It was able to help me to stay organized and to make sure that I have at least one activity per standard. And if I did have 2 activities for a standard, you can see that they reach different parts of a standard. This made it so easy to be able to check to make sure that I have every standard collected. Next, you can find my administrative verification. These are the different administrators I have worked with. The first one you can find is my elementary administrator. That is the principal that is at my current school, Melinda Patterson. Then you can find our district curriculum coordinator, Erica Mickelson, who I worked with. And also one of the assistant principals at our high school, Kelly Younger. Next, you can find my annotated bibliography. The annotated bibliography focused on different articles for each question. These questions were really focused on leadership, and I was able to do lots of research to reflect on myself as a leader and for the future. Looking at my activities, we can start with my district. So for my district activities, I was able to participate in a couple district principal meetings. Here you can see a picture of one of them I attended. I was also able to work with our district curriculum coordinator on standards-based grading. We're trying to move our whole grading process over to standards-based grading, so I helped her to create a message to the parents and different research on what that will look like for the next year. You can see these little click me buttons. Those are all links towards anything that you would like to look more into. Next, you can see that I have done some research on different districts and communicating and advocating for school community needs. Also, I was able to sit in on a district student services meeting on transition to kindergarten for all the different needs of different students and accommodations that are going to be needed at certain schools. So it was very interesting to me to be able to see how they decide which student goes to which school, which accommodations are available, and so forth. Next, we have elementary, and this is the one I have most of my activities in. I was able to do some research on demographic data for Auburn. I also created a moral compass. I also did a lot of research on collaborating and engaging with diverse families. Anytime you see a click here button, you can click to be able to find out more information. I was also able to create a presentation on culture responsive instruction and behavior support practices. I also met with our instructional facilitator of our school and went over our school data for Ames Web. It is K through 6, so we were able to meet and talk through all of this information. I also sat in on a few leadership meetings. This also opened up doors to helping me to join the leadership team for this next school year. I also did a case study on family involvement for elementary. I also created a pre-K through 6th grade assessment calendar. So if you click on the click here, you can see it bigger if you'd like. I also created cyberbullying for students and staff, so there's a different video for students explaining what is cyberbullying and how to handle those situations, along with those questions answered for staff. I was also able to sit in on the interview process at our school. We had quite a few transitions this last school year, so I was able to sit in through all these different interviews. It really was eye-opening to see the different questions that were asked and the different conversations that were had after the interview process with our interviewing team. I also got to substitute as principal for a week. Our principal went on medical leave, and the superintendent accepted or approved that I could substitute as the principal and stand in for the week that she was gone. So throughout this week, I learned so much to be able to wear the shoes as a principal, and I dealt with many different students and parents and teachers, and I was able to do many walkthroughs, and on top of that, I got to run a staff meeting. I was also able to observe every classroom in our school, so I got lots and lots of different observations and little tips and tricks to be able to keep along the way. For secondary, I've done a few case studies. I also created an annotated bibliography. I did a case study on ethics and policy. I created some ethical and legal decisions. I worked on understanding equity. I also got to meet with our high school instructional facilitator and follow her around and learn about the impact cycle for a day. I also created a data protocol for teachers and created a collaborative school culture video, along with shadowing one of the high school assistant principals for a whole day, and learned so much about the different policies and got to do a few walkthroughs in the high school. Lastly, you'll find my reflection on this class and the different classes and the different parts of what I have learned. I've learned so much about myself and what I can achieve throughout this whole process. Thank you.